Radio Free Skaro!
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Radio Free Skaro, episode number 854. I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
This feels weird this week in that this is like the first Sunday in, a month that there has been some massive breaking casting news for Doctor Who, like what we had.
Yeah, what's wrong? Show doomed?
I don't know. Well, you might be right about that, actually, Warren, and that the show is doomed. I mean, no one was talking about, everyone was talking about Star Wars this weekend and not Doctor Who, so quite clearly we are screwed, and they should just cancel it before they even get started.
Well, if the streaming wars have taught us anything, it's that you can only watch one thing at a time and that we are living in an age of scarcity.
That's true. Or we're living in a time, I know you're joking, of course, but we are living in a time of overwhelmingness in that, we're not going to talk about Obi-Wan Kenobi, the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, a new variety show that's being shown on Disney Plus.
It's a variety show.
Far as I know, I don't know what it's about. But they dropped 2 episodes this weekend in time with Memorial Day weekend and their little Star Wars celebration. I haven't seen it because it's like there's a lot of stuff to watch, so I'm just not going to watch any of it. And I'm just going to play Lego Star Wars Undead. So I haven't seen it. There's so much TV that I just look at it and go, no, none of it. None of it's going to get watched.
Chris and I have.
I know.
Chris and I have, and we enjoyed it.
I know,
as far as I can
and
tell.
I'm looking forward to it. That's the thing. Like I was like, look, oh wow, like how this look. And then when the time came, I just want to sit and play video games. I don't feel like devoting time to watching TV right now. Am I a bad fan? Am I a bad person for that?
No. First of all,
not for that.
Okay.
No.
See, we were discussing this off air. There's this whole FOMO thing. People will go on and on about some show on social media that don't like Euphoria. I have no intention of ever watching this show, but people talked about it so much that I'm like, a slight 2% of me is, maybe I should watch this. And the other 98 is like, what do you care? It's a show about teenagers. You cannot relate in any way, shape, or form. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I'm sure people who like it,
right.
But it's just not for me. But because of social media, I wouldn't even be aware this existed if it wasn't for people yelling about it. And then the irony is a week from now, it'll be some other show that I've never heard of that people will be screaming and yelling about. Mm-hmm. But that feeds into what you're talking about, Stephen, which is this whole, what am I missing here? And they're not missing anything. Or you'll watch it later. It's just sitting there. It's not like weirdly enough, it's streaming. So we've got this whole thing where all this stuff's coming at us and it's all accessible whenever, but we act like, if I don't watch this now, I'll never see it again for 3 years, like when we were kids.
Right. I know. Well, it's I mean, even watching any TV, honestly, when Doctor Who comes on, I was like, oh God, I gotta watch Doctor Who now. Like an episode review, and we got to find time to watch that, and then probably watch it again, and then do a podcast about it, and I'm not prepared because I watch so little TV these days, especially like new TV, that when it comes on, it's like, I don't have, it's not a part of my life to watch a new show when it drops or on a weekend or something, because I've just sort of fallen off that sort of TV watching bandwagon. So when new stuff comes along that I actually want to see, it feels like an extra burden because this is something I wanted to see and here it is and you should watch it and think, I'm just
being overly hard on yourself.
Yeah, well,
honestly.
I'm just lapping up Kyber bricks in Lego Star Wars right now. Chris, you finished the game a while ago. You know what I'm talking about.
Twice, technically, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose so, because they put out some DLC and gave here's 22 more Kyber bricks. Now it's up to an even 1,200. And I looked at that a couple weeks ago and thinking, well, I'm never going to do this. This is just daunting. And here I am. Got 613 of these things.
The Lego economy, like most economies, is a total ripoff.
It is a bit, actually. Although when you get the multipliers, though, I've got the 384.
I've got some hot stock tips for you. Get the multipliers. I'll get you more stuff.
I know. It's like when Bitcoin was booming and indeed was a thing, and then it's not. If you lose the multipliers, which you don't do, thankfully, it doesn't crash. That's the thing. The Lego economy never crashes. You just keep going on and up. But yeah, there was,
and even if it did, you just see a bunch of minifigs with dumb smiles on their faces, just lapping it all.
Yeah. But there was Star Wars Celebration this weekend, which I never realized how massive this thing is. Like, it's not just them at a, nondescript hall in a convention center or something. Like, they build this, like, crazy Star Wars specific stage, and there's, with the little thing that juts out, it kind of looks like a Rolling Stones concert. And everyone's there. Like, Harrison Ford was there.
And John Williams.
And John Williams and like all the stars of the popular TV shows that they do on the Star Warses and the ones that they're announcing and stuff. They're all there. It's crazy. Yep. And like, I didn't watch any of it apart from enough to know that I don't want to ever attend a Star Wars convention, but because I don't want to wave a lightsaber in the air. It's just not a thing I want to do. I don't know.
When I saw it, I was like, and I've been to San Diego Comic-Con, which is probably bigger, way back when. It's probably even bigger now. But I just saw all the fans. And I'm like, this is too many people, regardless of topic. It's just too many people.
Right. I didn't even see that. Like, there's that many people, but there's a lot of lightsabers being waved around. I think those are dangerous. Careful with those lights. Like, it's weird how different. It's just different seeing different fandoms interact. Like, we don't wave sonic screwdrivers like that isn't our sword, so to speak.
Some
but
people do.
I know, but not to that number. Maybe they don't seem as
not to that degree. No,
True. Yeah, because they're giant lighted batons. I mean, you don't even need to like pay for lighting it. You know what? We're not going to light the back of the auditorium because everyone's going to wave their $300 lightsabers in the air instead. But
I mean, it's basically a foam hand saying we're number one.
Kind of is. I look at that, though. And, what they had a Star Wars weekend recently, too, didn't they? Star Trek, rather, right?
Yes, I think
Star Trek Las Vegas. Yeah.
Star Trek Las Vegas.
No, but one after that, too, in Chicago, I think.
Was it an official one?
I might be wrong.
Like with all the captains?
I don't. Not qualified to tell you.
But I look at that and going, I wonder if, like, Sony and Bad Wolf and the BBC are going, this would be kind of neat. What if we had an annual convention of Doctor Who, an official convention, and we have like 4 or 5 new series to announce, and we do it in London or something like that, and we bring in the props and stuff, and it's a big giant weekend like that. I wonder if they've thought about that, seeing how basically not routine, but like I don't know how Celebration began, but it didn't when there wasn't any new television or movie properties. It just seemed like, hey, let's go talk about Return of the Jedi again. But now it's like a trade fair. It's a Star Wars trade fair, and I wonder if they're thinking, wow, wouldn't this be something if we could do this every year with Doctor Who, put on a big thing?
Well, there was that official Doctor Who convention for a while.
Nothing against Star Wars versus Doctor Who, but I wouldn't be talking about the show for God knows how many years on this podcast if I didn't love it. But I don't think Doctor Who has anywhere near the cultural cachet, even in England, that Star Wars does. It just doesn't.
No, I can think of like the 50th anniversary convention, which was like, it's a one day, but it's celebrating a specific anniversary and stuff, and they had everyone's there for that. But I'm not sure you could. Well, maybe actually you probably could. I mean, there's a lot of Doctor Who actors who still live in the UK, but especially if it's new. If you're announcing like 5 new Doctor Who series, the RTD universe or something that we're all expecting, even though he said not one word about the fact that it's actually happening.
But also, from the word go, Star Wars has been a publicity machine for itself.
That's true.
Even though there's a fallow years in the 90s, when they want to promote this thing, they are very good at it.
They are.
And they always have been.
And now there's Disney money
Doctor Who,
behind
that's a secondary concern for Doctor Who, really.
Yeah, well, maybe they want to make it a bigger thing. Maybe they want to make it a bigger thing when they see how popular it is, Anyway, I'd go. I would go to that. I feel like it would be our duty to go to that in some way, shape, or form, to go cover this massive event, this hypothetical massive event that would probably be in London. Imagine if it wasn't. Imagine if they decided, now we're going to put it in Chicago or something like that. The official BBC Doctor Who Universe convention in Chicago.
That'll never happen.
No. I mean, I think even possibly even something like Cardiff might be a stretch.
I think so too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
though it'll be a lot easier for them.
Well, yeah, but I mean, for anyone who anyone who isn't British, it feels like, well, of course, just go to Cardiff. But for the British people, it's like, oh God, Cardiff, that's like an hour and a half away. I mean, are you kidding me? No, we're not going to go all the way to Cardiff, because no one goes anywhere outside of London if you live in London. I remember taking the train to Derby, thinking, oh yeah, I could have gone to the Derby thing, but it's just all the way up there. Just like, seriously, I've driven further to go play hockey on a Thursday night than some British people have ventured out of London sometimes to go to a Doctor Who event. So. Yeah. So London, there we go. It's officially confirmed. 60th anniversary convention announcing Doctor Who and 5 spin-off series happening in London.
Yep.
October 2023. Book it.
The Ogre spin-off is going to be epic.
I would watch.
I would want the Ogre versus the Ogrons. That's what I want, because I feel there's a lot of dialogue to be mined there for one.
And they can just call the show
Og, starring Stephen Ogg.
OG. Just call it OG.
The OG.
With periods in it.
Yep. Anyway, before we get to other news, I just want to say that this is the last episode of May. Next month is June, unsurprisingly, and the month after that is July, and this is going to be unprecedented in the history of Radio Free Skaro, folks. In July, we're going to be there every week, but we are actually going to take time off. Yeah, I know. But we're going to do episodes. So we're going to bank some episodes, though, for those 2 or 3 weeks that are going to be gone. Because, Chris, you're going to the UK. I'm going on a road trip somewhere. Warren, you are free to go. You are given leave to go.
I'm not going anywhere just yet.
Okay. But
so it's the solo Warren show.
Yep.
Yep.
It's not. We're going to...
All my ranting for hours upon hours of ranting about nothing.
Well, that's...
What's changed, really?
Yeah, nothing at all.
I'd love to see you put that out.
Yeah. So we're going to bank some episodes, one of which, at least, will be a Fluid Links episode. So send in your Fluid Links questions and comments now, because at some point in June, we're going to be recording these things. It might be an extra long one. If there's enough of them, maybe there'll be 2. Who knows? So send them in at our Twitter account, Radio Free Skaro, # Fluid Links. Send them all in so we can record some stuff and have some fun. Have some fun in Doctor Who. And if any late breaking, if massive news happens, we'll find a way to cover it during those weeks in July. But we'll be back in time for. Warren and I will be. You'll still be in the UK when San Diego Comic-Con rolls around, if there is indeed stuff happening at San Diego Comic-Con for Doctor Who. But we'll be.
My gut says no.
Maybe
a trailer for the next special.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the and I use this phrase with massive asterisk. The Chris Chibnall marketing machine might not be in full power at that point. They're done. It's like Doctor Who's done. It's over. We're done with it. Do we have to go promote this now? I don't want to have to. So, yeah. We'll cover it if there's anything. Anyway, Fluid Links. First off, though, BBC News. Yes, we're going to talk about the BBC. About 3 Canadians are about to talk about what's going to happen to the BBC.
Oh boy!
Stand by, everybody. This past week, the BBC put out a plan to deliver a digital-first BBC in the years to come. That means moving eventually everything onto digital, more or less. They're going to try and create a 24-hour news channel that will be on TV. CBBC and BBC4 will eventually be moving to online only. So
like BBC Three was.
Like BBC Three was. When did they do that? That was like several years ago that they moved BBC Three online.
BBC Three was online for 5-ish years,
right?
Something like that. So, and then of course they, not that long ago, pulled it back to broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
Did that happen when Class debuted, or was Class just kind of part of it happening?
It was before. It was after. Yeah, BBC Three was.
It was around that time or after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that gets put out on this goes back years. There's a lot of stuff that would get put out on BBC Three. That would, like, everything would get put online, and then they'd do like a staggered weekly or whatever broadcast on actual broadcast TV. The BBC has started to do that much more frequently now with BBC 1 and 2 programs. So they've dipped their between that and so as a box sets, as they would refer to them as in the UK.
Yeah.
Between the box set releases online and BBC 3 having, for a time anyway, been moved completely online. I mean, they've dipped their toes into things like this. So this is not completely foreign territory for them.
No, but I think they see where the world's going when it comes to digital and stuff being more on demand than actual broadcast. Yeah. And this is something we've been crowing about too on this podcast.
Yeah, because they're looking at putting that much more stuff on iPlayer first, which okay, fine. Yeah, Australia seems to do it fine with Doctor Who for iView, and then at least now versus even a handful of years ago when BBC 3 made the transition, there's that many more TVs, smart TVs out there that have iPlayer built in, or people watching not on TV ever and just on their tablets and smartphones. It's that much easier of a transition to make these days, so it doesn't seem as surprising now that it's been announced. And of course the reason the grand reason all this is happening is money. They they figure this is going to save them hundreds and hundreds of millions of pounds, and I hope it works.
Yep, there will be some job losses because it is the TV industry after all.
Yes.
As they merge stuff together, there's a sort of a bullet point thing of future changes happening, and one of them is an ambition to reach 75% of BBC viewers through iPlayer each week. 75%. Yep. I don't know what the numbers are now, but
no, neither do I. But what that boils down to, in my mind, is screw viewing figures.
Yeah, here, because, as we've said many, many times, Star Trek Discovery and Picard and the Star Wars shows don't have viewing figures. Why should Doctor Who have to worry about them and get beaten in the press around? This is something I've been thinking about too, just going back to sort of like Star Wars and Star Trek and everything, and how, let's face it, those shows are made for the fans now, and hoping to maybe lure fans in to watch the previous stuff if you don't understand the other stuff. Like, imagine if there was something that stuck out at me. I was watching the Blue Jays game on Apple TV Plus on Friday, because they show MLB games now on Friday, and it was Star Wars night at the game. We were playing in Los Angeles, playing the Angels, and so naturally there was a Star Wars convention that weekend. There was Star Wars night at the ballpark, and the on-air host was interviewing 4 or 5 people in full Star Wars regalia talking about them. And it was awkward as hell, of course. But
yes.
And the person, the young sideline reporter, so to speak, was sort of talking. So what happens at a Star Wars convention? Very generic questions like that. And then they went back to the play-by-play booth. There's 3 people in the booth. And they were saying, she did a good job having never seen Star Wars. And then one of the other guys said, "Yep, I haven't even seen Star Wars either." And I thought, good for you. Good for you.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's not where I saw this going.
No, I see. You know what? Because the people of our age, 40s, 50s, like basically it's kind of like, how dare you not learn about Shakespeare in high school, and how dare you not ever have watched Star Wars? And you know what? No one should have to watch Star Wars, especially if you're in your 20s or 30s, because that's our childhood. That's not yours. So don't feel obligated.
Okay. Hold on.
All right.
Hold on.
All right. Because I'll be building to a point here. But go on.
Okay. All right, but Obi-Wan is, Ewan McGregor has said this. He said there's been a shift in how people view the prequels, and that shift comes from 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds. Those are people who grew up with the prequels. And there are kids who are going to grow up with the sequels and with these TV shows, and it's going to be the same thing. So, yes, you're right, the old school OG stuff that we grew up with, sure. But there are entire generations who grew up in the Clone Wars. Like, I've barely seen the Clone Wars, but there are people who love it, and probably justifiably so.
Yep.
So when you say it's our thing or whatever, that doesn't make any sense.
Just Star Wars.
But you're probably moving towards that.
Star Wars in general being the main cultural thing, but you know what? For a lot of now in the last 20 years, there's a lot other cultural things that maybe. So therefore, Star Wars has become the only thing. And what I mean to say is, imagine if you had never seen Star Wars and you go into Disney Plus saying, "Hey, there's a new Star Wars show going on. It's called the Obi-Wan Kenobi. People are talking about that. Let's watch this." And thinking, okay, how many things will you have had to have watched to understand what's going on in Star Wars? So basically, well, you have to know that he is. Well, say that?
Zero to a degree. So I know you haven't seen it yet, Stephen, but
no.
Episode 1 of Obi-Wan
right.
starts off with a 5-6 minute recap.
Oh God, really?
Of what's going on.
Wow.
Well put together.
Very well put together. So I mean, they've made the effort to bridge that gap so that if you haven't seen the prequels, here's the rundown of what happened during them.
Oh, kudos to them
to get you primed for watching the show.
Oh, and kudos to them. That's a good idea.
Well, kudos to them for sure, but I mean, it's more that. It's not that it's there; it's that how much time is spent with it. There is a lot of recap, which is good because I mean it means they realize they have to invest the time because of just how much stuff there is to have to go through.
Right,
and it pays off.
Well,
afterwards. Also, Stephen. Well, hold on one second.
All right.
The one thing, what you're saying about all that stuff, that's the one concern I have from people who've never seen Doctor Who. Inevitably, what they tell me is there's just so much of it. Yeah. I don't know where to start, so I just don't. It's the exact same thing.
Exactly. So Doctor Who has sort of skirted the lines of, hey, look at us. We have 60 years of history and all these doctors and stuff. Usually it comes out during season finales and anniversary specials. Or, as often trumpeted in the Chris Chibnall era, you never have to have watched Doctor Who in your life to watch this episode. You know, there's this way of like we're still trying to appeal like to the general public on BBC One, or let's dig in and have, because we know the fans are going to love this, so they're gonna buy into it 10 times more than just what a general audience would do. And so I'm wondering, that mainstream BBC One thing has both made Doctor Who popular, but also slightly less essential in the eyes of fans in a way. And I'm wondering now if the BBC is moving towards digital only, and therefore can sort of afford to be a little more targeted in their approach to things. Does Doctor Who go what the Star Trek and Star Wars universes have done and basically say, this is for fans. Here you go. Like this is your kind of, here's your recap. So we'll give you your 6-minute recap sometimes and stuff, but this is very much within a universe that already has been established and exists and everything. So I'm very curious to see what happens with Doctor Who. I think Doctor Who's a different show, obviously, than Star Wars and Star Trek, but they're kind of lumped into the same kind of genre and the same,
as long as we get a romantic comedy starring Wotan.
Right? I think
oh, hell yeah.
I think there's room for a Doctor Who romantic comedy.
I think you're probably right. They will do more of that. Although I've heard people say that this will be the new RTD era, will be like another era of Doctor Who, where it's like this is restarting again, kind of. But that's all fan hoo-ha. Yeah. But the other thing is the Moffat era was kind of this already. There was a lot of deep diving, which I loved, but there was a lot of deep diving in it.
There was. But, in a way, it was almost like, kind of like the RTD mini-universe of Sarah Jane Adventures and Torchwood, kind of like, this is almost like too early for its own good, just because there wasn't a good way to sort of access all these things from, good luck finding Sarah Jane Adventures in North America, you had to sort of fight and claw for that. Torchwood was here and there as well, like if you don't have the platform to show all these things, it's difficult to sort of make a wider universe, as opposed to like Star Trek, which is on its own thing, and Disney and Star Wars, which is on its own thing too. So I'm curious to see if the approach towards Doctor Who and how they make it and who they make it for will change when they're not worried about what episode of Country File it's going to go on after and what the overnight viewing figures are going to be, if they're moving more towards iPlayer, which it now seems to be the case. So. There. But also, as you kind of have said there, it's iPlayer that they're looking to move to. Yes.
Not let's start throwing our programs on HBO Max or whatever.
Well, certainly not
they still want to roll their own.
Well, because iPlayer is an established thing in the UK. I think we're sort of learning that. But I think maybe they go to an HBO Max in North America, and around the world, wherever it's available,
At this point, I mean, that's possible. Mm-hmm. There's also, I don't know how likely this is at this stage, but you remember the international iPlayer from a few years ago? How big that fizzled?
Yeah, I don't think they'll do that. I don't think they'll try that again. I hope they don't. I hope they don't say, you know what, we need another streaming service. Let's go with it. I think you go with the deal you already had, which is HBO Max, and it's...
I mean, that's exactly what it basically was a streaming service. And have they sold off all their interest in BritBox now?
In the UK?
Something like, but they hold like minimal or no stake in BritBox anymore, but there's still a crap ton of BBC programs on there. So I mean, if a streaming service needs to happen, obviously, BritBox seems like a logical first step.
I suppose, but in that I closed it now because I thought we were moving on for some strange reason. In the list of the bullet points there, one of the things they wanted to do was requesting Ofcom to remove regulatory restrictions on iPlayer to expand box sets and archive content. Mm-hmm. Kind of says to me that they want to move stuff off of BritBox and basically put everything made by the BBC under the iPlayer banner.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
I got two.
I'm curious to what regulatory restrictions are there. Like, why would Ofcom say, "Oh, you can only put X number of programs on your archive, iPlayer website"? Like, that's dumb.
This is why we have missing Doctor Who episodes, because we can only repeat it once. What's going on here? Wipe it instead. I don't know.
Well, I know things like repeats. Sorry, Warren. I know you've got your barrel chambered there. The things like repeats, I know, were often, it was like things like actors unions and whatnot that would rally against them because people would get paid less for a repeat than they would a newly produced show, which makes sense. I mean, everyone wants to make a living.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I mean, so the British organizations like Ofcom have these odd and strange reaches that just make little sense to me as a non-Brit.
That's not going to stop us talking about it, though. Warren, you had 2 points you're going to make.
Yes. Okay, well, two things. One, Star Wars is one of the two jewels in the crown, or three, arguably, with the Disney library and then Marvel. And Star Trek is the big bet that they've placed everything on Paramount Plus. I can't think of anything else except maybe Yellowstone or whatever. I don't even know if it's on
NCIS,
there. But Doctor Who
NCIS, the Dick Wolf. I don't know where the Dick Wolf
universe is. Well, that makes them a ton of money too. So I mean, that kind of does count. Yeah. But Doctor Who is one thing of many that the BBC not just wants to, but has to be concerned with. They got a ton of other stuff besides Doctor Who, which is one of their bigger deals. But because it's the BBC, even if it's all online, they have to do certain stuff. They just got to do it, or they have other interests that they have to cater to. It's not just Disney where they're like, we're putting a pile of money into Star Wars because they'll give us a pile of money back.
Right.
The other thing that's interesting, though, is because it's the BBC, I think of CBC Gem, what they do, and this is a very small scale Canadian version, is there's a ton of little shows that are like 11, 12 minutes, and they're kind of like the farm team stuff that they kind of develop on CBC Gem, and if it goes somewhere, it goes on to the TV channel, and there's no reason BBC can't and probably does do this. So whereas you're never going to see it on Disney or Paramount or any other, or HBO for that matter, you're just going to see a bunch of stuff that's being legitimately made for business reasons. But this is a chance to experiment for the BBC. So the next thing that's a big deal might be a 10-minute thing that hits big on BBC whatever the digital thing is. So it's good that's a good part of the digital part, because you can't really do that on broadcast, although I'm thinking of, just to age myself again, remember Zed on CBC early morning on Fridays, or early morning Saturday, I guess, late night Friday,
right,
where that was the only venue you had to come up with weird experimental stuff. Well, now you can just do that, and some people are, and it's inevitably going to be your national broadcasters that do it. So it's kind of good in a way the BBC has that, which has nothing to do with Doctor Who, but it's interesting.
No, and not having to worry about carving out your spot in 4 hours of prime time, from 6 to 9 p.m. or something like that before the news comes on. There is more. I mean, there's too much time for TV, honestly, when it's on the schedule, which means why there's so many TV shows these days. But if you're making it purely, mostly for iPlayer, because that's where 75% of the people are going to be, or you hope they're going to be, you don't have to worry about, let's make a Doctor Who spinoff. Well, where we're going to put it? Throw it on BBC on a Friday night. We're going to put the, iPlayer. It goes on iPlayer. So when Doctor Who's on, it's on. And then when the regular season of Doctor Who is off, then guess what? Here comes Doctor Who spinoff show number 1 coming on at the same time. I mean, basically taking over from it.
To expand on that a little bit, and we got into a lot of detail on this back in 2016 with Class.
Yeah.
There's the requirement that if something gets broadcast on a digital BBC channel, so BBC 3 or 4, it has to find its way onto terrestrial broadcast, so BBC 1 or 2. So we saw Class, debut on BBC 3, and then because it had to be shown on BBC 1, just because that's what it says they have to do, that's why we saw it happen at like 2 o'clock on a Thursday morning, or whatever. It ended up being like some idiotically late hour where nobody's watching, but they still have to fulfill this mandate.
If that's going to be a mandate,
if they're putting stuff online, iPlayer, call it iPlayer or not, stuff that goes online, I would imagine, think maybe that this is going to be able to skirt that requirement so that they can broadcast whatever the heck they want without having to arbitrarily fill time on a terrestrial channel to show this stuff.
Yeah, that feels like such an antiquated. Like that feels like the Brown M&M line that they just never bothered to change. In the contract of like, oh well, we've done this since 1935, and so we just have to keep doing it because we just haven't changed the contract. Why don't we just change it? Because it's dumb. It's so outdated now that has to go on broadcast and BBC one first. Otherwise, it could never air on BBC. I do feel like that is a thing that probably will be. I don't know what now this is 3 Canadians talking about this. I don't know what restrictions prevent them from doing that. If the Queen herself has to sign off on it or something,
maybe it's possible
in a pen that writes only imperial measurements, then I don't know what it needs to do. But I do feel like that is something that will probably go by the wayside. I'm hoping, because it's silly, it's ridiculous, but. Yeah.
And I mocked viewing figures, but I guess one other nice thing as well with an online shift is the BBC controlling all these servers and content and logs and all that kind of stuff. Any stats or viewing information they want to know, that's going to be basically on a real-time basis. There's none of this waiting a week for Barb, an independent party, to give an AI figure to the BBC so they can publish that or whatever. Like, it's just going to happen immediately, and that's information that is going to be very important.
And they already do that essentially with the let's say here's the top 10 viewing requests on iPlayer.
But I'm just saying that like it's something they're going to have direct control over, and B, have information as it happens. There's like lag time is no longer a thing, really.
Yeah, it's all internalized.
Won't it be great? Won't it be great when you don't have viewing figures for idiots to point at and go, you see?
Yeah, 100%. I'm so looking forward to this. This is why we do the stats segment now. We used to do it because we were initially intrigued, and then we just wanted to bug Warren. But now,
or we'd see a Doctor Who episode get 11 million viewers and be able to celebrate that too.
Yeah, that too. Back in the days when 11 million people would watch TV on any given night. Now it's like 11 million people total on one night will watch TV everywhere across all channels. If you're lucky. So, yeah. So the big story here is that stats soon will go by the wayside. Probably. Happy one.
You say soon. I think we're looking at a few years down the road.
Yeah.
I can't remember the context, but I saw some guy talking about an old variety show that he made in the 70s, like on TV, and he pointed at the numbers and said, "Look, this was nothing at the time. That's the Super Bowl now."
Yeah,
and he's kind of right.
Oh, it's stunning. It's stunning.
Totally.
Yeah, God, Web Planet got like 11 million people watching that. 11 million people watch the Web Planet. 11 million. Anyway, it's Doctor Who isn't back on our screens full time until a year and a half from now. It will be very interesting to see what the BBC will look like when that time comes. We're
going back to analog.
Yeah,
nothing but antennas.
Boris Johnson wants to go to imperial measurements. Guess what? All TV shows made during the year of 2022 will have to be made on 2-inch videotape in standard definition.
It would be worth it just to see millions of angry Brits on top of their roofs adjusting antennas going, "Is the government in it?" And I'm that's a terrible accent, and I'm going to go to hell for that.
It's just like the coronation. Everyone goes out to buy this big giant TV set to watch the 70th anniversary of the coronation.
Yeah, big giant TV set the size of like a dresser with a 12-inch screen, if you're lucky.
Shaped like a crown.
I kind of missed it. I miss electronics as furniture, It's kind of nice.
I just think back to growing up in the 70s, and I'm sure we can all remember this. Like think of the the like the record players people would have, which are the size like of a giant hutch or cabinet or something. But it's like a record player and space for your records and speakers.
Yeah.
But it's electronics as furniture.
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandmother had that. She had a giant cabinet with the TV in it, which I think was probably like maybe 26 inches or something. No, probably not even that.
No.
But it was mostly, there was more wood than there was TV. And this had to be from the 60s because it was an old TV by the time I was watching it in the 70s. So
Yeah. I mean, I could use my Apple TV little box as a mug warmer. That's about it for using it as furniture, you know, or maybe a votive holder. Ah, the good old days.
I like how we're complaining about things taking less space. What the hell's wrong with us?
I know. It's ridiculous. Well, my parents still have the old record player that I grew up with. God, it's giant. That thing is giant. I'm telling you. Speaking of giant, the Doctor Who Worlds of Wonder exhibition, which is now open in Liverpool, runs to October 30th. It's basically what that Doctor Who experience was, except in a different format. And in Liverpool, rather crucially, at the World Museum, 27th May to October 30th. Chris, you're not going anywhere up near. Are you going near Liverpool during this time?
Yeah.
Are you going to go?
No.
Oh.
Wow.
I'm going to Manchester for a day to see a concert and then straight back to London the next morning.
Whatever.
So, Liverpool and Manchester are not that far apart.
Very
but
close.
I'm not going into Liverpool. No.
Oh. Well, that's a
Don't have time.
Don't have time. You have all the time in the world. As
Stephen, you are doing right now what streaming media does to you.
I know. I'm FOMOing them. Yeah, like, we got to go see this and this and this and this. There's a Doctor Who, because you didn't see the Doctor Who experience when it was in the UK and it was gone. No, I know you didn't make it down there
when I was last there. It's been far too many years since I was there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know it was there and had plans to go, but the plans fell through.
They fell through. Well, this was your chance, and now you blew it.
Yeah.
Recommend having a galley video hanging over your head. I gotta go.
I think that was the day I ended up going for lunch with Paul Cornell instead.
Oh,
that worked out fine.
Well. That's a good trade-off.
Yeah, that's a good trade-off, I suppose. I don't know. I think he would have wanted you to see the original K1 robot prop too, but well.
I wanted to see the original K1 prop.
Yeah. Well, if you...
Oh, no, is what you said when you didn't get to.
If you're going to Liverpool, if you want to take that... I know Liverpool is a billion miles away from London, those of you in London. It's open till October 30th of this calendar year. Before, of course, the giant official Doctor Who convention in October of next year in London that will announce Doctor Who and 5 spin-off shows and feature all the stars of the show in the past and present, which we have announced here on this podcast exclusively, including to the people who would potentially be running that show. On to DVD news. Remember the Colin Baker series 1? I still can't call it those with a straight face. The season 22 box set, which was originally coming out at some point, and then it was like, oh no, we don't know when it's coming out. And well, now it's coming out in June 20th in the UK, which naturally meant inevitably that we would get it much later in North America. And yep, we sure are. October 18th, North America will see release of the Colin Baker season 22 Blu-ray. According to TV show, on DVD.com, which is just a Facebook page. So apologies for the Facebook links in there if you don't want to use Facebook. But so that's coming. Also, the Bonneville Snowman, I don't think that has had a UK release date announced.
Not that I've seen.
It's coming December 6th in North America, which I think is very close to when it will come out, because I know Gary Russell said to me on stage at Gallifrey 1 that they were definitely hoping to get it out before the end of 2022, and so that does qualify for that December 6th. So hopefully that comes along as well. So there.
But the flip side to that being, this is the last announced classic animation filling in the blanks.
Yeah.
Release announced thing. So. I'm not in any particular rush for it to come out because there might not be anything else.
That's a good point.
Yeah, unless they find funding to continue this. But
yeah, or I mean, the funding may exist, but they might be channeling their efforts more toward a season 5 Blu-ray or whatever.
Right.
Put the money into something unified like that rather than individual story releases.
Is it the same? I honestly don't know how the money gets spread around for those, like the animated versions and the Blu-ray sets. I feel like, to me, given how sometimes they come out on the same day, it almost feels like there are two hands of the same corporation doing different work. You know,
Maybe,
but I don't know. I know a lot of people obviously work on both, but I do feel like they're put in forth by different operations, but I don't know that for sure. But anyway, I've got a ways to wait. Not that, I haven't watched Galaxy 4 yet because I'm busy finding those stupid Kyber bricks in Lego Star Wars. So I haven't watched that, or indeed Horns of Nymon or Shada on the season 17 Blu-ray set. Plus, hockey, Stanley Cup playoffs are on right now, and that's occupying my time too. But
yeah, the hockey stuff is more you than us, but I'm still following along somewhat. But yeah, I'm in the same boat. No Galaxy 4 yet, no Shada yet, but I have been watching Sex Education and Heartstopper. So.
Oh, how's that?
Yesterday we finished the first season of Sex Education.
Okay,
it's only 8 episodes per season, so it's not that big. Not that big of a thing, but we're still two episodes into Heartstopper. So
right.
But there's also much less of that, so I'm kind of going a little more slowly on that.
Parsing it out.
Sex Education's half hour, right?
45-ish.
Okay, because that's the kiss of death. If it's 23 minutes, I'll binge a bunch of them. If it's 45, I'm screwed. I'll just go. All right.
Heartstopper is the shorter of the two, like 25-30 kind of thing.
Yeah.
Then I stand more of a chance, as in 0.001 of actually. I'll say I'll check it out, and I never do.
And there's only
Broadchurch, and I didn't do that either.
Yeah. There's only 8 episodes of that to watch as well. So.
And it's Heartstopper, not Heartstoppers, as we were pointed out by a fan pedant last week. So good job, Chris, on saying it the proper way.
Blame the BBC. Their press release put the S.
It did, didn't it? I know it's on a press. Honestly, that is, if you ever see a press release that doesn't have a spelling error, there is a hostage situation in the building, and you need to contact the authorities, because that is the tell. Every single press release I've ever read has, like, where is it? There it is, right there. There it is. Opening line. You got the show wrong. You got the show title wrong. Press release.
And they want to go digital? What the hell?
I know, right? They can't even get a name right of the show that they don't even make. Anyway.
Wow.
Doctor Who magazine 578 came out last week with Ncuti Gatwa on the cover. No, there's no interview yet, because interesting. It says, who is Ncuti Gatwa? Because he's not the Doctor. He's not the Doctor. Because David Tennant's going to be the. Oh well, Jodie Whittaker's the Doctor, but he's not the Doctor yet. So I'm waiting for when he gets his Ncuti Gatwa as the Doctor cover, as is tradition. But there's a production notes with Russell T Davies in there. Which is neat, because, he has enthusiasm for these things, and Chibnall never wanted to write them. So it's good to see that, it's just fun. It's just, honestly, I know we have literally dumped on a lot of stuff that Russell T Davies has done over the past 12 years since he left the show. Some mostly fueled by his 2-part finale. But man, that cat has enthusiasm for Doctor Who, and it's fun to see. It's fun to see.
But to be fair to Chibnall, it's a lot to ask, and Moffat did it too, but begrudgingly. Some people just aren't wired for that. And Chibnall and every one of those guys, RTD certainly is. He's about as extrovert as you can possibly get. Not everybody is that.
No, he really is. It shows. It's a fun little, basically the production notes is about how the casting was, and how they decided to drop it and then work it in and stuff. And when you see like some people are saying, oh, how come we didn't have a launch trailer or stuff like that? Well, you know what? You could just show up on the red carpet, and guess what? Here is all the press of the world at the BAFTAs here, ready to interview your new Doctor Who. Perfect.
Doctor Who fans moaning about something? I can't believe it.
I know,
no matter
right?
what they get.
Yeah.
And Stephen, you had mentioned as well that going forward, RTD is going to be doing production notes regularly again?
He will, yeah. I imagine probably post-October, once Jodie Whittaker's final episode goes out. I imagine that he'll be taking over. He does allude to it. He's going to be taking this over. He's sort of like, backhanded. Oh, you probably don't want me, but I'm invading again. I'm sorry. I think no, actually, we appreciate it. Given that Chibnall wrote like all of 3 during his time on Doctor Who, like he was barely doing that column, and we'll have a monthly column from Russell T Davies talking about making Doctor Who, which is exciting, I think. The issue also does deep dives into the Dalek movies because, of course, they're coming out on 4K Blu-ray coming up. I just bought the Kino Lorber versions. They're not 4K, but I've got a new Xbox on the way which plays 4K Blu-rays, and now I'm thinking, am I going to buy this movie for a fourth time?
Yes.
Speaking of your Xbox, I was in Best Buy yesterday and they had a sign that said, "They all sold out. Keep checking back." I'm like, of course they did.
Really? I was
specifically the Xbox Series X, the expensive brick one.
The giant brick. I know. I had just assumed that because I kept looking and like, well, what if I just check the Microsoft website and it says, yeah, we have some. Okay, so because my old Xbox is the blue. Honestly, it wasn't even the games that are the issue. It was playing Doctor Who Blu-rays, and there'd be like it sort of jumps every like at a regular interval. Thinking, well, I cannot have this. I'm going to buy a ludicrously expensive Xbox One X Series X.
You know why?
To play these Blu-rays on. What?
Your Xbox was revolting after all the studio footage you watched.
Maybe, is that what it was?
I think that's reasonable.
Just like, what is this videotape? We can't do it. We can't play it.
You disgust me, sir, is what the Xbox secretly say.
Anyway, so maybe I'll buy those movies yet again. Oh, I'm a sucker. God, I'm such a mark. I'm such a mark.
Maybe. Come on.
Yeah.
I bought the original DVD release, and so far I'm good. I've got the Kino Lorber version sitting in my look at later Amazon thing,
right?
And I keep thinking, oh, maybe, but if they go down to like $10 a piece, yeah, I'll pull the trigger. But right now they're like 30 something, and I'm not paying that much for something I've already bought.
Yeah. It has a comment. Yeah, I mean, they have pretty much everything that's on that will be on this new set, except for one extra thing. I think there's a new commentary with Rob Shearman and Mark Gatiss on that,
which is on the 4K release as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Which is just itching at you, right?
No,
now.
I have that. I have that.
Okay. All right.
Literally, the only thing different is the 4K aspect of it because that's the one that's getting shown at the BFI too. But anyway, it's cool to see. I mean, and of course, I've been watching Terry Nation Army, which has been doing all sorts of stuff for the past couple of years on this, and it's always fun to see the Daleks and the Dalek movies get their time in the spotlight once again, because they were made on film in the 1960s, back in the original Doctor Who expanded universe was. But
as long as I don't have to hear the phrase "one take Tovey" ever again, yeah, I'm fine with all.
Release the Cushing cut.
Yeah, the Gordon Fleming cut, who's interviewed in this by David J. Howe. He's long since dead, but archive interview. Anyway, all that in Doctor Who magazine 578. Also coming soon, June 16th, is the next version of Doctor Who Chronicles. This one's covering the year 1967. A year of monsters and the enemy of the world for Doctor Who and all the things that happen. I love these Chronicles ones because it just looks at a specific year in time, front to back, covers everything that happened in that year. They've done like what, 65?
This is the fifth one. So they've done 2007, 1965,
1983. 1975, and now this one. So yeah,
something like that. Yeah,
love these ones. They're good stuff. So that's outside of your usual Doctor Who magazine subscription, but you can get it elsewhere. Pocket Mags is where I get all my digital versions. Links in the show notes. RadioFreeScaro.com. I buy them all digitally, and I have them digitally on my application on my iPad electronic device. There's speaking of, I didn't get a chance to look at this. Chris did though. Their Doctor Who Appreciation Society has released Pets in Time, a book about Doctor Who people and their pets. Mm-hmm. It's all for all goes to the RSPCA. That's the Royal Society for Prevention of Cruelty Against Animals. So a very good cause. Chris, what's happening in this book?
Like you say, it's people involved in Doctor Who, whether it's production or actors or whatever, and features on their pets, and some people from DWAS as well, with the features of their pets. But it's I'm a cat person. There's not that much cat representation in this book. It is very predominantly dog representation, which okay, fine, whatever. But it's like page 40 or 50 something is the first cat, which is Andrew Cartmell's entry.
Right.
So, but it's
scandal.
It's a bit of fun. It's people talking about either their current pets or the history with pets or whatever, and everyone who doesn't love a pet.
I love pets. I love other people's pets mostly.
£10 is for charity, so it's yeah, it's fun.
Do it. Links in the show notes. BradyFreeScaro.com. Have a look at the Bets book, Bets in Time. Animal Tales. Perfect. Well, that's not a segue at all to our weekly thing that we do called the Timelash, where we look back in the history of Doctor Who. That this will be taking a slight pause during July too, partly because we'll be on vacation, but also partly because nothing aired in July, basically, and that's what we discovered last year. Is when we did the Timelash. It's like, oh, like 3 things aired this week total. That's not the case now, though. May 29th. That's today as we record this, and just as you're listening this, if you're listening to when it drops. Episodes 2 of The Chase and 2 of the Daemons, I called it the Daemons, the Demons, aired. But Cold Blood, Rory died in Cold Blood at the end of Cold Blood. I remember that being a bit of a shock, thinking, oh my God, they killed Rory again.
Also, I remember doing a rewatch of it a while back and going, I'd totally forgotten about this whole subplot. It just whooshed from my mind.
Kind of like a whoosh from Amy's mind when you think about it.
True, I suppose.
Remember that? Because he disappeared into the crack of time and stuff like that. And then she didn't know who he was at the end of this episode. Yeah. Silurians. Amy and Neurosile negotiating for the history of Earth, the future of Earth, which, you know, in retrospect, probably not the best plan. It didn't work out.
No.
You know.
Again.
Yeah. I mean,
it gave us the action figure for the scientist in this one, the Silurian scientist.
Hell yeah!
Oh,
as a Dollyist, I can't argue with that.
Do you have that action?
No,
you know?
No. I have some pretty embarrassing gaps in my. I don't have Pearl Mackie. I don't have the new companions. There's a bunch of stuff I don't have. I'm a bad fan.
Well,
I am a bad fan.
Well, you haven't been to Gallifrey in a couple of years, so like that.
That's
the dealer room.
Definitely part of it.
Yeah.
I could just go on eBay and get these things, but I've got an important Akira Kurosawa figure to look at trying to get it.
There's a thrill. I mean, you know, it's not every action doll you get online will give you the same visceral thrill of a custom-made BBC cameraman from the 1970s that you bought online.
Not.
So
beautiful. I got to feature him more in Bookshelf Doctors.
You really do.
He's been on hiatus of late.
Yeah, you really do. Given the amount of money you paid for him, I think you need to really, you know, he's a union employee after all. So
once a week, he at least has to show up.
Yeah, has to. Do not ask him to take any pictures after 10 o'clock, though. He will abjectly refuse.
He has the perfect permanent expression of just utter disdain.
Just like, oh, what am I doing this for? Oh, bloody, I was walking Duchess of Duke Street the other day. Now I'm on this. Blimey.
If I ever do a movie about which, it gives me a YouTube idea, which I probably won't follow through on, but if I do, I want you to do the voice.
just angry British cameraman. No, not doing that.
It's just him ranting for a minute, then you cut to somebody going, what? Every time it's a different dolly going, huh? What's your problem?
I work classics. That's all. None of this Doctor Who. I don't know what accent this is. I think it's
you.
Me.
That's what
it's me.
Offensive.
Offensive.
To every region individually of Britain, it's offensive too.
That's true. That's true. Other stories continue apace with the Aztecs Part 2, Warriors of Death, a.k.a. Carol Ann Ford's first week off from Doctor Who. She recorded film inserts for that episode and the week after and had a 2-week vacation. That's when they got 2 weeks in that first season, because, you know, they would write in holidays for each actor, and William Hartnell got the first in Keys of Marinus. He got 2 weeks off. Carol Ann Ford here. Jacqueline Hill got 2 weeks off in the Sensorites. And then poor William Russell has to film like 18 minutes of film stuff to cover off his stuff for Reign of Terror before he goes on vacation. Yeah. So anyway, Aztecs, very good story. Very good story. So was Inferno Part 4. I don't remember what happens in Inferno Part 4, but we are firmly into the alternate timeline. Inferno. Yeah.
Yeah. How could it be bad?
It can't be. Probably, it could be the greatest Doctor Who story ever made. And I don't...
Yeah, we'll go that far, but it's up there.
It's way up there. May 31st, 2008. I can't remember. It was probably along this week. It might have been the day before. It might have been May 30th on 2008 when it was announced that Stephen Moffat was going to be taking over as the new showrunner of Doctor Who. Because I remember it happened on the eve of the broadcast of Silence in the Library, which is Moffat's story, obviously. Either of you remember that? Yeah. Do you remember the...
Vaguely,
Yeah.
I do remember being disappointed by the previous week's offerings, and then the minute the music starts and that girl just kind of floats in, I'm like, okay, this is something special.
Yeah.
This is going to be good.
It felt like it was
just-
yeah.
I just remember the rumors at the time, probably true, I don't know, that he had actually accepted the showrunner position like the best part of a year before it was announced.
That's crazy, man. Like RTD obviously had an exit plan at this point, and then I've forgotten all of that. I've forgotten like why did they have a gap here? Did they just want to take? I remember saying Russell T Davies was saying it's important to be able to miss Doctor Who and not be have it become like passe. And so I think the break in between eras was kind of a planned thing, and it was
this gets me to thinking. And that thinking is terrible.
No.
What if he's got an exit plan for RTD2 followed by Stephen Moffat to SM2, if you will?
He says no now, but he's going to be. Russell T Davies says no. I'm done with Doctor Who, and look now, and now he's back. So yeah, Moffat says like, nah, I'm never writing.
And then Jim Mill again.
Maybe not that, but
No, none of this. It's all nonsense.
Yeah, I know. Maybe a different person will take over in 8 to 10 years' time when Russell T Davies is done with Doctor Who again.
Some necromancer out there will resurrect Graham Williams. He can have a second go.
That would be great. Derek Sherwin does a new unit era, and John.
So
Nathan
we're not worried
Turner.
at all about the fact that necromancers are running around? I think it's kind of a problem.
No, I think it's all right. I think there's some stories to be told from past producers of Doctor Who who are no longer with us. So I, for one, accept these necromancers in the history. of
David
Doctor Who.
Agnew gets a third story so he can go in the minisode.
I could just see this discussion. So here's the thing, Stephen.
All right.
We have people dabbling in the dark arts and utterly destroying the souls of people.
Sure.
But you're going to get new old Doctor Who out of it.
Finally,
Sold!
we'll get to see Graham Williams' version of Ashada hit the screens as opposed to 8 different animated versions. It'll be fine.
Innes Lloyd gets a chance at redemption.
Innes Lloyd, the redemption arc of Innes Lloyd.
But I wish these shows would stop pandering to the fans.
Yeah. Oh, so many references in this. I'm sorry, new fans. Innes Lloyd was all these people we've mentioned used to produce Doctor Who way before you were born. That's the story here.
To be fair, that would be pandering to a fan.
Specific fan. Actual mention of Doctor Who producers. June 1st, 1968 was episode 6 of The Wheel in Space. Notable for 2 reasons. A, it exists. B, it led to the first ever full story repeat of a Doctor Who story in history. It was so monumental, in fact, that they segued to it as part of the drama in the end of Wheel in Space. Doctor Who putting a little helmet on and saying, let's watch an old story of mine and I'll show you if you want to be part of the TARDIS crew or not. And that led into the evil of the Daleks. Amazing.
I mean, I laugh at that, but it's still...
It's
they did it.
Yeah, it still is. So, God, I love how flighty Doctor Who can be. It's just like, we've never done a repeat before. It's pretty monumental. Obviously, we have to work it into the actual show. Otherwise, people will think that Doctor Who is dead because it's not on air this week. It's just it's hilarious.
My white whale of flightiness is still Colin Baker saying or not saying Blackpool, and me for decades not knowing what the hell is going on.
I know. I didn't what's the B? I'd always going to say something with a B, and then even worse, I didn't know what Blackpool was when I finally heard that it was.
Me neither.
Years
Not a clue.
What's a Blackpool? What is that? It's a drama starring David Tennant and David Morrissey. For those of you watching along at home. June 2nd, 2007, we saw The Family of Blood, the 2-part conclusion of Paul Cornell's to-date final Doctor Who story, where David Tennant does an acting tour de force. What a great performance he was as John Smith in that.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And credit where it's due, as a not Tennant fan, the on-screen transition from Smith back to the Doctor was very, very well performed.
He really was. Good actor, David Tennant. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does in the in
You
his
might get the odd roll or two here.
Yeah, Went to better things. What else happened here? Let's go June 3rd. This is big. Is it that big? Not really. the Evil of the Daleks Part 3 aired. It doesn't exist. Time Monster Part 3 aired. I wish didn't exist.
Yep.
2008, The Impossible Planet. That was as close as they could get to, it was a Saturday, of course, to June 6th, 2006. 666. So it's very devil-themed. The Impossible Planet, still to me, is one of the most memorable first watch experiences I've ever had watching a Doctor Who episode. I still remember watching that on my computer on a nice hot sunny summer day, because it was June and it was like full daylight, because I was watching it shortly after it aired in the UK. And I remember that once it had stopped, my legs were cramping because I was tensing up so much from the final 10 minutes of that. It's staggeringly good. The Impossible Planet, The Satan Pit, I think is, with apologies to the Waters of Mars, is probably my favorite story from the Russell T Davies era. I don't know how you two feel about it. Maybe not as
it's not my favorite, but it's definitely up there. Utopia is still my absolute favorite.
That's
but
true.
It's this one is so, and it's what I like about it, besides the obvious, is that when it needs to be slow, it is. Like that whole scene where Scooty, I think it is that her name? I can't remember. Is right. Floating up into the black hole. Is just like, that's like, wow, that's cinematic.
Yeah.
And in 2006 or whatever, cinematic. It's incredible.
And we had Doctor Who Confidential to tell us how they shot that at a water tank as well.
That's right. They did. Oh, Doctor Who Confidential. I remember those days. And then there's the bit when, oh no, that's the next week, which we'll talk about that. But that story is so good. It's scary. It's scary.
It really
like
is.
I was like,
yeah, it is.
I was 31 years old, and I was like, I'm terrified by this.
The Ood were amongst the best things that RTD's era came up with, and just
Definitely.
the introduction of them and the creepiness. The creepiness factor was through the roof.
Yeah.
But also Murray Gold's music.
Oh, yeah.
The scene with Gabriel Wolf's voice in
Toby
Toby's
turn
room.
around. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
The Return of Gabriel Wolf for that.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of wish that they didn't. I know they showed that scene on like Graham Norton or some. I remember they showed that.
Totally Doctor Who movie.
No, it wasn't around that, and it's 2007 for Totally Doctor Who. What was it on? It was some show. It might have been that. It might have been Jonathan Ross at that point, actually. They showed that scene, the Toby Don't Turn Around scene. I kind of wish they didn't in retrospect, because that feels like it. You should have to watch that as part of the drama, as opposed to just sort of sticking out on its own, But oh god, scary
The other
Doctor
thing about the
Who.
Ood is that you're terrified of them, but you're also sympathetic with them because they're getting a raw deal here, man.
They are, yeah. Which he later makes up for in a couple years' time for Planet of the Ood.
True.
Which is
Totally Doctor Who Series 1 Episode 9 was all about the Impossible Planet and had Mayanna Buring as a guest. So yes, it was around.
I'm sorry. I thought it was, for some reason I thought Totally Doctor Who was 2007. I'm sorry, Chris. I doubted you on that one, but
That seems a scary thing to put on a kid's show. But I don't know.
Yeah.
They changed the format. I remember that at least for 2007. I don't know why does 2007 stick out to me for the glory years of Totally Doctor Who. I'm not too sure why, but they changed it. I know they had like a Camp Time Lord, where they had Clayton Hickman pick apart small children's performances as
Gallifrey
Doctor.
Academy or something.
Gallifrey Academy.
That was the quiz thing. Apparently, the Impossible Planet episode aired on June 8th. So it was after the actual episard aired.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't the trailer, but still, it was a going concern.
Although we
point.
might have seen the trailer for it in the prior week.
Yeah,
I can't remember.
I don't either. 2017 saw the Lie of the Land air, completing the Shaky Monks trilogy in Series 10 of Doctor Who. But is that the one with Donald Trump in it? The brief glimpse of Donald Trump at the pyramids?
I think it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I see the title Lie of the Land, I always think it's a Prodigy song. I don't know why. I think it actually might be a Prodigy
song. That's
song.
the Land, and that's an album.
That's what it is. Yeah, I always conflate the two for some reason.
Yeah. Wayne Yip directed that. Great directorial bit of work there from Wayne Yip. His first of 3 Doctor Who stories. I especially love the shootout where we can hear what's going on on the tape player in their heads while we see all the action happening. Yeah.
Yep, nothing to do with him, as we've talked about more
Nope.
than once.
In the script, but he made it look good.
Yep, he made it look good.
Yep.
It could have been dull, yeah. And
Could have been.
It wasn't.
Could have been very dull. June 4th is a notable event in history. Something that's not on the Tragical History Tour website, which I will mention here. June 4th, 1975. BBC London receives a giant shipment of films from the ABC in Australia, all the way from like the Space Museum, featuring most of the stories, all the way up until the end of the War Games. All came back from Australia. Guess what? A lot of them didn't last long after that. They were mostly destroyed, but a lot of people
burn them all.
A lot of people reason that perhaps some of the orphan episodes that we have came from this batch that came back. Like, for instance, like Galaxy 4, Underwater Menace, Faceless Ones, Possibly Evil the Daleks, Web of Fear, Dominators 5, oddly enough, might have come from here. So, yep, June 4th, 1975. Somebody got a massive thing of films and they go, well, which incinerator should we put these into? And I remember seeing a cartoon once. It always makes me laugh. Where there's these two guys next to an incinerator with film cans, and they're just like chucking them in from like 20 feet out. It says, "Okay, whichever ones we miss, we keep." And that's basically what Doctor Who's destruction policy was back then. Something
like that just makes me think of the bureaucracy involved. Like, why go through the expense and effort and time of shipping all this stuff from Australia if it's just going to get thrown in an incinerator? Why not just burn it in Australia and never ship it?
Right, I know. Like
government is the answer.
It's
right
like
wasteful.
We don't want to have to burden ourselves with the contractual destruction of these episodes. We're going to send them back. I mean, maybe they didn't know that it was going to be the end, so we're going to ship them back. Maybe you're going to sell them on to elsewhere. Obviously they didn't. Obviously the BBC didn't. But as late as 1975, they had a whole bunch of these missing stories that like Galaxy 4, like the Smugglers, 10th Planet, Power of the Daleks, Underwater Menace, Moonbase, Face, like everything. A lot of stuff
season
that's missing
4, basically.
now. Yeah, seasons. Last bit of season 2, lots of season 3. Oddly enough, Daleks Master Plan not part of that. Coming back from Australia, so.
Stephen, for your inevitable time travel where you save the missing episodes, this is your nexus in time. This is the I can't remember the term of it in the show, but that's the
fixed point.
Fixed point?
Yeah.
Thank you, a fixed point. That's where you go.
I need to go back there and somehow or burn them if you want, but I'm going to make copies of them. If I knew how to make copies of a film can, I would just be filming it with my iPhone and then
then you lose your iPhone and completely change technology. Britain becomes ascendant again.
No, I know. I think people just be annoyed. I think, how am I, like the restoration team's going, how do we restore this from a shaky iPhone camera? Can't.
Also, these guys are on the clock and they're like, what is this Canadian bothering us for?
Yeah, exactly. Doctor Who was canceled back in 1964.
We never knew it. When you're 80, you've got this giant Gandalf beard. You just show up. No, shall not pass.
They just go around. We'll just go to a different incinerator then. Sometimes the path cannot be changed. Oh, what a regrettable.
I get to see you doing this speech from Waters of Mars.
Yeah.
We're taking on time itself, and I'm going to win. And then they just throw in a different incinerator, and you have to go back again and again and again and cause paradoxes.
They're just like, why are there so many incinerators in London? Why is this? For God's
it's
sake.
All incinerators.
Who designed this city?
Ends.
I know.
It just ends as London's a giant furnace now because it's dedicated to one task, destroying missing episodes because of your inevitable interference. You become London's greatest enemy. Oh, this is a great story.
Yeah, I know. There you go. They just have to, like, my arch nemesis, basically, like the Curse of Fatal Death.
Young Ian Levine.
Has to keep going back in time to build more incinerators to burn Doctor Who episodes on June 4th, 1975.
Yeah, this is getting into whatchamacallit territory.
Dumb?
Comedy. The Jonathan Pryce.
That's why I referenced the Curse of Fatal Death. Yeah,
Brazil.
The Curse of Fatal... No, the Curse of Fatal Death. Yeah, where he goes back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And of course, you're able to go back in time to save this, but you can't come back forward. You have to go through it in real time.
Exactly, like the Master.
Like the Weeping
Like
Angels.
the Master for 70
yeah,
years.
Yeah, it's true, yeah. Well... Would it be worth it? No, it wouldn't be worth it. I don't want to live through all that again. I don't want to. I want to take the best bits from the 1970s, not live through the 1970s. Come on.
Yep. You'd have to adapt to the fashions and hairstyles.
Did it once, don't want to do it again.
Yeah. Two modern Who episodes to close out on for June the 4th. Boomtown aired in 2005. A surprisingly good story, honestly, given that it's kind of like a bit of filler in between the Empty Child and then the big two-part finale.
Kind of great.
Yeah.
A lot of that's down to Annette Badland, though, really.
Oh, she's so good.
Fantastic in it.
So good. I know.
Yeah.
You really get to see what a Slovene can do when directed by a director in Joe Ahern as opposed to Keith Boak in the first two-parter. There's a sense of drama to it all and some fun as well. And the dinner scene with Annette Badland.
And sadness.
And sadness. And melancholy and regret. I know. Underrated story.
Obviously, the scale of things, especially relative to the Slovene, is a lot smaller, which makes it that much easier.
Yeah, just one of them. And we barely see this Slovene as well, too, which is also good. And last but not least, June 4th, 2011, the end of the first half of Series 6, A Good Man Goes to War, with the shocking revelation that River's Song is Amy Pond's daughter. What?
It's a bit of a mess. Like on further viewing, I loved it at the time because it was such a big deal climax thing.
Yeah.
But it is kind of a mess, honestly.
Yeah. I feel like it's one of those stories from Series 6 that kind of overcompensates unnecessarily. You know, it's almost like Moffat was like, wow, I really nailed it in Series 5. I have to really go all out for Series 6 and kind of over eggs a few puddings, with that. And
but we get Strax out of it, so I'm good with it.
Strax. Although then we didn't. He dies at the end, and then he's back. He's back. It's fine.
Is this where the Paternoster gang starts generally?
Yes.
I believe it is. Yeah. Okay, so we did get the Paternoster gang out of it.
So,
it's the episode where we get the lesbian tongue joke as well.
Oh, that's right. That's
a good joke.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I can't top that, so we're just going to close the mini scope at the Timelash. That's what we do. Lesbian tongue joke. Can never top that.
There's our show title.
There. Don't know if it is. I don't know if it is.
Not.
No, if it is. Some big Finnish news and notes to wind things up. The War Master: Escape from Reality with Sir Derek Jacobi in it is coming December of 2022 from Big Finish. That was announced this past week. Also, the Diary of River Song. Speaking of River Song, Two Rivers and a Firewall. That's crazy. I love these titles.
A weird title.
It is an odd title.
Just a weird title.
It doesn't stick in the craw, but it definitely meanders in the craw.
Oh, well, there's Autons in it, which is fun. Autons are fun. And, of course, Alex Kingston's River Song as well, so... And Harry Peacock, Ray Bloody Purchase.
Yes, I'll buy it for that alone.
Yeah, he's in that too, so that's a cool thing as well. So there we go. Also, if you have yet to play the Doctor Who video games, Edge of Reality and Lonely Assassins, they're getting a physical release together on one disc, or at least one package, on October 18th, the same day as the Season 22 Blu-ray comes out. So
I got them both, though. So
I do too. I think I have them both for two different services. I might even have Lonely Assassins on Steam actually too.
I have it on my iOS device, and then I have I think it's on my Xbox. I have too many damn video game systems, and they're all old anyway, so what the hell.
Well, you can get these now. I think they're just basically straight ports across to, and plus they're on like Xbox Series. Seeing that I have a new Xbox Series X, Series X, One X coming, maybe I should just what the hell? I've already bought multiple versions of this.
The hoops you'll jump through, Stephen.
Yeah, I know.
They're breathtaking.
Let's just see what it looks like on the big new system. And
the same,
probably pretty much the same. So, yeah. Last week, of course, we talked about Doctor Who Am I with Vanessa Ewell and Matthew Jacobs. Well, Doctor Who Am I premiered last week in the Sci-Fi London Film Festival. It won the Sci-Fi London Film Festival Audience Award. I saw some nice reviews of it online. A lot of people seem to like it. It's so good for them. Good for them for getting that award from that. Voted by the attendees of the actual convention itself. So. Hooray for that. And last but not least, our friends over at the Gamer Rassilon podcast are regenerating this week. They are announcing a new Doctor. It's played by Dan Peck. Our friend Riley Silverman played the Doctor for the past 3 or 4 years on the podcast. Up until then, she's the new GM, stepping into the role of Game Missy. GM game is again it. As well as new companions and stuff. They are playing basically the brand new second edition of the Cubicle 7 Doctor Who role-playing game. They've been doing that all this time and making it an improvised comedy podcast. They do live shows at Gallifrey 1 and stuff as well. And so, so here we go. They've been going for a while now. It's like year 4 for them. So you can check them out at Rassilon Pod on Twitter or at Adventures in Time and .space. It's clever website there too. So there you go, folks. We didn't have anything planned for this episode. We just yammered on for 80 damn minutes. Can you believe it? We never.
I can certainly believe it.
Me too, actually. Yep. So next week we might start our classic series commentary of the Space Museum, folks. Yeah, big lead up to the Space Museum. You do not want to miss the Space Museum commentary. It's a zinger.
It's irrelevant. I seem to recall us talking about videotape, or is that a different one?
I don't remember. I don't remember anything anymore. We recorded that one a while ago.
It's kind of a constant anyway.
Yep.
So
that's coming next week on this here podcast as we move into June of 2022. Once again, don't forget to send in your fluid links to us as we record some stuff for July when we're on the road. So until next time, I am Stephen in Edmonton.
Warren in Vancouver.
And Chris in Edmonton.
So long for now.
You've been listening to Radio Free Skaro. Find us online at radiofreeskaro.com. Follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at Radio Free Skaro. Subscribe to us on iTunes and donate to the show at patreon.com/Radio Free Skaro. Thank you.